Good morning, everybody. My name is Ann Tomalavage. Whether you're a member, a guest, or a curious first timer, I want to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown. Since 1967, we've been a warm and welcoming liberal community right here in Pottstown. Our founders poured their hearts, their resources, and the talents into creating this sacred space. And together we carry on their inspiring legacy. In their spirit, we continue their mission of nurturing spiritual journey, embracing diversity, celebrating community, and turning values into action. If this is your first time or your 101st time, we're glad you are here. This community is what it is because of your presence. Welcome into the space of love, support, justice, compassion, fellowship, and worship. We are glad you are here. Now's the time for us to share what's coming up, what help you need, what's new in our fellowship, etc. While we're waiting for our announcers to line up over here, I'd like to thank Emily for doing our technology today, and Cecilia, as always, for leading us in song and music. Right. So, Monica, it looks like you're up first.
Hello, I'm Monica. I'm president of the board, and I just wanted to make two quick announcements. One, we have a little kid section in the back for any little kids that want to like hang out during service and don't want to go to RE. They can come hang out with me in the back. We have like crayons and books and little quiet games you can play. Also, I made this announcement a while ago, but I want to make it again since there's more people here. Newark Traditions, which is one of the school that rented from us, are no longer renting from us. Starting next fall. So their last day with us will be in May, last day in May. No worries. That was a big mental like income for us, but with all of our things we've been doing on the board to like kind of streamline things and whatnot, we're looking really good. Next month will be our start of our pledge drive. So just look to Irene for information on that from the treasurer. So thank you.
Good morning, I'm Chad. Irene and I have collaborated on what is basically becoming a nonprofit called Uplifting Voices Project. And basically we have sponsors that want to support local writers and artists. So we've been housing it here at the fellowship. We make a donation to the fellowship and have different writers and stuff come. It's always linked by a common theme. So our previous one was mental health. The one coming up on Wednesday, April 29th, is female empowerment. We have three really cool speakers. Two of them are writers. One is a wellness advocate and writer affiliated with Ursinus College named Katie Bean. She's legit. She's going to do an awesome presentation. A second is a photographer named Lexi Bird, and the third, Katie Nyquist, is like a fantasy author with a number of books, and a book coming out in June, and another one coming out in the fall. And she's going to share kind of what's different about being a female writer publishing. So again, it's April 29th, 6:30 p.m. It's a free event. We have food in the social hall. The writers will do their different presentations, and we do a Q&A here. And then you get to meet the writers and stuff in the back. We also have an upcoming event we're kicking around for LGBTQ voices. And we would love to do one for immigrant voices. And then we have a summer like book fair type thing that we're planning for the summer. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. But specifically, if you could come on that Wednesday night, it would really mean a lot to us. It's a free event and we have really good speakers lined up. Thanks.
Free food too. Come on, sorry.
Starts at 6:30. Good morning, everybody. I'm Clifford, and I am holding another fundraising cooking demonstration all about how to cook the perfect steak. I'm gonna do 3 different cuts and talk about each different one and how they're cooked a little bit differently. And let me see, it is Saturday, June 20th. Starting at 10 a.m. And I think is it $35?
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, all the money goes to the church, and fundraising is even more important now. And it's gonna be loads of fun. I always do wine pairings with each one, and a little potato dish to go with it. It's good any time of the year.
Meat and potatoes.
Yes.
Righty, thank you, everybody. I want to thank Rob for lighting our chalice today. It's voluntary. Volunhugged, actually. This is a house of reflection and contemplation of joy and sorrow, friendship, sharing, and laughter. We light this chalice in remembrance of what we have been and in the hope of what we may become. And that's from Dale Hudson. Thank you, Bob. Right. Now, before I tap the chime, I want to ask everyone to put your phones into worship mode, whether that means turning your phone off or putting them on silent. We just don't want to hear the tone. Are you ready for the chime? Chime allows us to come into the present and focus on the gift that is the present moment. And that's why they call it a blessing. All right, so opening words. These are not by Amy Mackenzie. I switched. This is called The Silent Monk. And I think this will set the tone for our time together. A man enters a strict monastery. On his first day, the abbot says, you'll be able to speak only 2 words every 5 years. Do you understand? The novice nods and goes away. 5 years later, the abbot calls him into his office. Brother, he says, you've done well these last 5 years. What would you like to say? And the monk says, food cold. Oh, I'm so sorry, the abbot says. We fixed that immediately. 5 years later, the monk returns to the abbot. Welcome, brother, says the abbot. What would you like to tell me after 10 years? The monk says, bed hard. The abbot says, oh, I'm so sorry. We'll fix that right away. Then, after another 5 years, the 2 meet. The abbot says, well, brother, you've been here 15 years. What 2 words would you like to say? I'm leaving. And the abbot says, well, I'm not surprised. All you've done is complain. Let's do our opening hymn, Surprised by Joy, number 410, in the red hymnal. So stand in spirit or body. time for jokes for all ages. Now, God and my mother gave me a great sense of humor. I always felt closest to God when I'm in a place of joy, gratitude, and humor. What better way to jump right into a place of joy, gratitude, and humor than to hear the gift of jokes? So, any young person who has a joke, come on up. If you want to tell a joke but you don't have one, I've got a bag of jokes.
Is the handle mic working?
Yes. I need to turn this on, I think, right? Okay, all right. Boy, look at all these jokes. All right, who would like to go first? All right, tell us your name and tell us your joke.
Oliver Taylor.
You can stand.
My name is Oliver, and my joke is that what is a sailor's least favorite vegetable? A leek.
Would you like to go? Of course. Go right ahead. Make sure that everybody can hear you.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Patch.
you.
Bless you. What happened when a cat and a ball of yarn fell in love? And mittens. What do you eat at Jack in the Box?
What?
We need to check that. Do you have a funny answer to it?
Tacos and everything.
You wanna grab a joke out of the bag? No? You guys wanna tell some jokes at camera? You want to get a bag of jokes? Bag of jokes.
Yeah, it's just saying that story one for that. Okay.
And take the mic.
Thank you. Big one. And me. What's
You can use your loud voice.
What red and smells like blue thing?
What does it say? What does it say right there?
Red thing!
Has that happened? Ready for your turn. Oh, you guys can tell me.
Grab one out of the bag. There you go.
What do you call an old snowman? Water.
One of your own. All right, so for it.
Why did the sun go to school? To get brighter. What is the smartest kind of bee? What is the smartest kind of bee? a spelling bee. So it's a mosquito can fly. Why can't a fly mosquito?
I think we have some future people who are gonna be doing stand-up as soldiers. Hey. We'll sing them out. Thank you very much. All right, I've got a reading view, and this is by somebody. I'll tell you at the end. All right, once upon a time, there was a village with a road that went straight through the center of town. One day, something strange happened. God walked down the road, and she was beautiful. She wore a long flowing robe, and on top of her head, there was a wonderful hat. All the people stopped to stare at God as he walked by, and they kept staring until she disappeared in the distance. Boy, God sure was beautiful, said one man, and what a beautiful blue hat she had on. Yes, God was beautiful, said a woman from the other side of the street, but it wasn't a blue hat she was wearing, it was a red hat. You are wrong, said the man. It was definitely a blue hat. No, you're wrong, said the woman. It was definitely a red hat. As the two argued, others joined in the debate. Soon the whole village was arguing. All the people on one side of the road were certain that God was wearing a blue hat. All the people on the other side of the road were certain that God was wearing a red hat. Notice the colors here? People got mad and started screaming at each other. Finally, the people got so angry that they decided to build a wall that went straight down the center of town. From that point on, the people on one side of the wall were enemies with the people who lived on the other side of the wall, and they never spoke to each other. On one side of the wall, the people built a church where they worshiped a God that wore a blue hat. On the other side of the wall, the people built a church where they worshiped a God that wore a red hat. Many years passed, and the people were still enemies. Then one day, God came walking back through the village. She was smiling and bouncing on top of the wall that the people had built many years ago. This time, she was wearing no hat at all. All the people ran to the wall and cried, "You must settle our argument." "Yes," said one man, "the people on that side of the street say that when you walked through the village many years ago, you were wearing a blue hat. But we know better. We know you were wearing a red hat, so tell us, God, what color was your hat?" God looked puzzled for a moment and began to scratch her head and thought, "I think I remember walking through this village many years ago," said God. "And on that day, I believe I was wearing my hat that is blue on one side and red on the other." And saying nothing more, God continued walking down the wall until she disappeared off in the distance. It was very quiet for a moment. Suddenly, there was the sound of one child laughing. Then another child started laughing, and another. Soon the whole village was roaring with laughter. Everyone was laughing because they realized how foolish they had been. As the sound of laughter grew louder and louder, the wall began to shake and crumble until finally it came tumbling down to the ground. For many, many years after that day, the people told the story of God's hat and how laughter had torn down the wall between a divided and foolish people. And this is from Christopher Brice, Buice. See, I told you who it was. All right, we'll do the offertory now. The giving is not about duty. It is an offering, an invitation to invest in the life of this community, to nurture its spirit, and to carry its mission forward. We now receive the morning offering with open hands and open hearts. If you are here for the first time or the 100th time, the offering is just that. It's not a fee, it's not dues, it's just whatever you want it to be. We're just glad you're here with us. Alrighty then. I recently read a book called Jesus Wept by Philip Benon, Shanon. The subtitle is Seven Popes and the Battle for the Soul of the Catholic Church. It's definitely a page turner. But I tried to remember if I'd read or heard anything during my Catholic upbringing about Jesus laughing. I drew a blank, but I Googled it, and the same two passages kept being cited as Christ's stand-up CV. The mote in your eye, the log in my eye, and the camel getting through the eye of the needle. I never thought they were very funny, but anyway, some Bible scholars think they were. But you know what? It wasn't so much that I wanted to know if Jesus could tell a good joke. I was more curious about how he delivered that beautiful message of love and inclusion. How did he help his very radical message follow like sweet rose petals on hardened or scared hearts? I'll probably never know the answer to that, and nobody will actually. But I can't imagine that his message would have been embraced by so many people in his time and down through 2000 plus years if he'd been a grumpy Gus. I mean, I can't imagine following anyone who constantly yelled at me and told me I was imperfect. Wait a minute. I did that in grade school. So let me rephrase that. I can't imagine willingly following anyone, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe Jesus did make his contemporaries laugh. His message floated down and landed like dandelion seeds and rooted in their hearts very deeply. I thought maybe today we could take inspiration from some of the saints who were blessed with a sense of humor and who wove it into their spiritual lives. And maybe we can make Jesus laugh, let's see. So in the write-up about this service, I had said that a few of you would have the opportunity to tell your favorite joke if you wanted to. So if you want, you can start to line up while I share just a few things with you. Now, many of you know or have heard me talk about Father James Martin. He's my favorite Jesuit. He's from our area. In fact, he used to be the popcorn boy at the Plymouth Meeting Mall movie theater, so I've heard. He's very outspoken on LGBTQ plus issues and advised Pope Francis on these issues. And in fact, Father Martin says that the 5 most profound words that Pope Francis ever spoke were, "Who am I to judge?" Now, Father Martin, here's his real chops for us. He was on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me yesterday. And it's actually replaying as we speak, or will start in about 5 minutes. Father Martin has written many, many books and articles. But one of his books, one of my favorite books is this one. It's called it's not called Whoops. It's called Between Heaven and Mirth, the joy, humor, and laughter. Why joy, humor, and laughter are at the heart of the spiritual life. Now, as you can imagine, he has traveled all over the world, and he says that he has never seen a smiling statue in any church. Now, he gives 2 reasons why churches, and not just the Catholic Church, aren't widely known for their humor and laughter. First, the early Christian theologians were focused on combating heresy. Now, this was even before the Inquisition, so this was no laughing matter. And second, the dominant cultural influence at Christ's time was Greek. Now, Christ would have been thought of then as a wisdom teacher in this culture or philosophy. They would have focused on his accomplishments rather than emphasizing his wit. Now, that's not to say that the Greeks didn't have a sense of humor or were stiffs, but here are a couple of my very favorite examples from this book, Between Heaven and Mirth. So in the 3rd century, Saint Lawrence, I love this, Saint Lawrence, who was burned to death on a grill or gridiron. I don't know why we call football a gridiron, but anyway, he was burned to death on a grill over hot coals. And he called out to his executioners, Father Martin says, in perfectly conjugated Latin, no less, "This side is done. Turn you over and have a bite." And by the way, St. Lawrence was martyred in the persecution of the Christians ordered by the Roman Emperor Valerian in 258. See, the Roman Empire hadn't fallen yet, but it was on its way down. Another thing that Father Martin tells us is in the 4th century, St. Augustine of Hippo, I always love the name of that city, puckishly prayed, "Lord, give me chastity, but not yet." He was the founder of the Augustinians, who were famous for Villanova and for a very famous Villanova graduate. You know who that is? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. And here are a couple others that I've gleaned from various sources. That St. Thomas More, right down the road here, said, "If honor were profitable, everybody would be honorable." I love this one. St. Patrick said, "Never trust a dog to watch your food." St. Francis de Sales said, "A sad saint is a sad sort of saint." And my favorite saint is St. Teresa of Avila. When Catholics receive the sacrament of confirmation, they add a patron saint and another name. My patron saint is St. Teresa of Avila. I thought I was taking St. Teresa of the Little Flower. I'm sure some of you have heard of her, but she spells her name TH Teresa, and St. Teresa of Avila is TE Teresa. I was really disappointed that I had St. Teresa of Avila and not the Little Flower, but then I discovered how funny she is. So here are a couple of examples. She once quipped to her sisters, "Lord, deliver us from sour-faced saints." So here's, no smiling statues. Another one is a sad nun is a bad nun. I'm more afraid of one unhappy sister than a crowd of evil spirits. When a wagon carrying her overturned in the mud, she reportedly said to God, if this is how you treat your friends, it's no surprise that you have so very few. No. From silly devotions and from sour-faced saints, good Lord, deliver us. And supposedly she also told the devil, what comes out of my mouth is for God. What comes out of the other end is for you. And here are some more recent quotes. This is from Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen. And some of you may know that Martin Sheen took his name from Fulton J. Sheen because he really liked the way that he talked and spoke. And we used to watch him on television all the time. Anyway, what he said was, he was really funny. Hearing nuns' confessions is like being stoned to death with popcorn. And here's another one. Your Holiness, how many people work in Vatican City? And Pope John the 23rd's reply was about half of them. And I have to say that the Dalai Lama has the last laugh because I know that I had several quotes from other faith traditions, including one from the Dalai Lama that ends with, and a few good jokes. Now, I calmly not searched for it for about a half hour this morning and gave up when I realized that on some Buddhist plane, the Dalai Lama was having one of his famous laughs. He'd agreed that this is a good time to hear a few jokes. Now, does anybody want to come up and tell a joke? Hey,
Go.
come on, let's clap up.
All right.
Take someone else.
Right.
Where do I go, right here?
Yeah.
Wherever you'd like.
Okay. So this is a joke that Reverend Dave Hunter gave to us one Sunday, and I can't ever forget it. So anyway, okay. So there was a man dying upstairs in his bed, and his wife was down in the kitchen, and he was fading and fading, and all of a sudden he smelled the smell from his childhood of chocolate chip cookies wafting up into her bedroom. And he took all the strength that he had to make it down the steps. And he saw the chocolate chip cookies on the table, and he reached out to get one. They're for the funeral.
Moses comes down from the mountain and he says, I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is I talked him down to 10. The bad news is adultery is still in.
All right.
This is what our granddaughter told us. What do you call cheese that's isn't your cheese?
Oh.
Not your cheese.
Talented group we had. And brave.
You mentioned the Dalai Lama, so I thought a quote that he had made. In one of the talks, he said, if you think you are too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito.
Did the ocean say to the shore? Long time no see.
We don't have a joke, but I think they're close captioning this part.
I've got one for you. So Jim went to his best friend Tim's funeral. And Jim went over to Tim's widow and said, "Can I say a word?" And she said, "Sure, go on up." So he went up and he said, "Plethora." And she said, "Thanks, that means a lot." You gonna tell the golf joke?
So.
It's my husband, Joe.
Jesus and Moses were playing golf one day. And they came up to the 17th hole, which is a par 4, and it's at a pond in front of the hole. So Moses goes, I think I'll need a 5-wood for this hole, because it's pretty far. And Jesus says, I'm going to use a 5-iron, because that's what Arnold Palmer would use. And Moses said, I don't think it's going to be long enough. Anyway, Moses takes his shot and it lands on the green. And Jesus with his 5-iron takes his shot and it lands in the water. So Jesus goes, Moses, part the water so I can go out and get my ball. Moses goes, you hit it, you go get it. So Jesus starts walking across the top of the pond. And meanwhile, the party behind them comes up. And one of the guys says, Jesus, what does he think he is, Jesus Christ? And Moses goes, no, he thinks he's Arnold Palmer. Really sad.
Anybody else? Well, I want to thank you for sharing your humor and lightness and for helping us all weave it into a loose garment that we can wear with joy and gratitude. So let's take our little light and let it shine. And you can stand and embody yourself and sing hymn number 119, the light of love.
Shine.
enter a time. You can read in unison. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of wisdom. Want of unity for the fire of penitence. These we carry in our hearts and in our hands until we are together again. Right. Excuse me, I have some listening.
We carry the very dance.
Every taste. This was all meant to be today. Yeah. No. All right, so I do have some closing words and I want to invite you after I give these closing words to stick around because Cecilia has a very beautiful postlude that she has chosen for us. So here are some closing words from Saint Teresa of Avila, and it's called Growing Older. Lord, you know better than I myself that I am growing older and will someday be old. Keep me from the fatal habit of thinking I must say something on every subject and on every occasion. Release me from craving, to straighten out everybody's affairs. Make me thoughtful, but not moody, helpful, but not bossy. With my vast store of wisdom, it seems a pity to not to use it all, but you know, Lord, that I want a few friends at the end. Keep my mind free from the recital of endless details. Give me wings to get to the point. Seal my lips on my aches and pains. They are increasing, and love of rehearsing them is becoming sweeter as the years go by. And Joe's poker friends call this the organ recital. They dare not ask for improved memory, but for a growing humility and a lessening cocksuredness when my memory seems to clash with the memories of others. Teach me the glorious lesson that occasionally I may be mistaken. Keep me reasonably sweet, for a sour old person is one of the crowning works of the devil. Give me the ability to see good things in unexpected places and talents in unexpected people. And give, O Lord, the grace to tell them so. Amen. And excuse me, something I forgot to tell you. Did you know that Mary and Joseph were going to call their baby Frank? But they didn't. Do you know why? Why? Because Mary stubbed her toe. So on that note, let's hear 3 notes from Cecilia and listen to her beautiful post here. Thank you, Cecilia. our silly in the fellowship hall.